is righty. Call to order the City of Indio joint closed session with Indio Water Authority. Today's date is Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. My name is Wayman Furman. I'm the mayor of the city. I'll be chairing this closed session. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller.
Present.
Councilmember Ramos Amit. She is present on Zoom.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz
Present.
and Mayor Furman.
Present.
And we have Councilmember Elaine Holmes absent.
Okay. The next item is a public comment. Do we have any public comment?
No comments, Mayor.
We have no comments present, none online. We'll move on to the next item, was adjourned to closed session. City Attorney, I don't know how you would like to do this. Sometimes our attorney reads it off, or we could just adjourn to closed session.
I think you're clear to just adjourn to closed session.
Okay, then we'll adjourn to closed session. Okay, good evening. I will call to order the City of Indio joint meeting with the Indio Water Authority. Today is Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. The time is approximately 5 o'clock. My name is Wayman Furman. I'm the mayor of the city. I'll be chairing this meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Present.
Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz,
Present.
and Mayor Furman.
Present.
And for the record, Councilmember Holmes and Councilmember Ramos Samit are absent.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item. Our next item is invocation. I believe we have somebody here to do the invocation. If I could ask everyone to please stand.
Lord, we come before you today. We are so thankful. I am so thankful for each of these city council members, for our mayor, for our city employees, for the police department, for the fire department, and all that they all do to keep our city safe and to bless us. And I pray that you'd bless them. I pray that you'd give them great wisdom as they consider the things on the agenda today. May you guide them and may you lead them and may you protect them and bless their families. So we pray that you would oversee this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen.
If I could ask us all to please remain standing and ask our YAC representatives to lead us in the place of the flag.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. All righty. The next item on our agenda is city attorney report on any closed session items.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor. On item 3.1, the city council gave negotiation direction by consensus.
All right. Thank you, sir. And we'll move on to our next item, which are presentations. So we do have representatives for Imperial Irrigation who will be doing a presentation for us.
Good evening, Mayor Furman and Council. My name is Trinidad Arredondo, and I'm the Government Affairs Representative for Imperial Irrigation District, here to give a presentation. But before that, I want to acknowledge Councilman Miller as he serves on our ECAC committee for Imperial Irrigation, and also Mr. Raimundo Trejo, who serves. And thank you for serving on that committee. And then, we recently hired a public affairs person. So I'm going to go ahead and invite him to come up and introduce himself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Furman, members of the City Council. My name is Lee Hernandez. I'm the new public affairs specialist at Imperial Irrigation District here in La Quinta. It's a pleasure to be here. And I was hired and I'm tasked to represent our customer coverage areas in the cities of La Quinta, Indio, Coachella, as well as other incorporated areas such as Termo, Mecca, and Oasis. One of the main responsibilities is to promote and inform the public about our energy assistance programs, which I will be discussing later in our presentation. So again, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so a little bit about IID. We are an irrigation district and a public power provider. We provide, we're one of 8 balancing authorities throughout California. Our electrical service area is about 6,800 square miles, and we serve a population of approximately 450,000 with about 156 customer accounts. And we have one of the lowest rates throughout California. So our service areas are Imperial County, parts of the greater Coachella Valley, which is Riverside County, and a portion of San Diego County. Here, I wanted to just touch on a couple of our green energy programs. As you know, we have we believe in customer choice, and we have our rooftop solar, our net energy billing, where customers that have rooftop solar will can procure and sell their generation at 6.98 cents per kilowatt with no cap on participation. And I'm going to skip over that one. Also, just something that I want to let everybody know is that IID Imperial Irrigation District has an e-green solar program where we procure 30 megawatts to serve 15,000 low-income residents. And if residents are on a residential energy assistance programs, they qualify for an additional percentage off their bill. So this is why we're out here sharing this information. And then now I'll let my colleague talk about some of the most important programs that we offer.
So basically, IID offers several income qualified assistance programs designed to help our customers meet their energy needs. The most popular that we have in the primary program that we have is our Residential Energy Assistance Program, also known as REAP. It basically provides income qualifying customers with a 20% discount to income qualified, basically customers. It also provides a 30% discount income to qualify seniors. So in other words, basically, if you qualify for the program itself, you get a 20%, but if you're a senior, you get an additional 10%. Which is a great program that we have. Another program that we offer is our Emergency Energy Assistance Program, which comes hand to hand with the REAP program. It's known as our E program, which basically provides assistance to our customers facing disconnection for non-payment. So the E Payment Assistance Program, like I said, it's partially connected to the REAP program. And what it does for qualifying customers is that it provides up to $75 or $125 per quarter on their electrical bill. So that's the type of assistance that they get if they're unable to make payments on their monthly bill. Another important program that we have at IID is our Medical Equipment Energy Usage Assistance Program, also known as the MEUP. It provides discount to customers who use prescribed medical equipment to sustain life or prevent deterioration of medical conditions. Just to give you an example of the type of equipment that qualifies under this program, it would be CPAP machines for sleep apnea, hospital beds, electrostatic nebulizers, motorized wheelchairs, and oxygen tanks. So those are some of the examples that some of the equipment that qualifies under our MIA program. Okay, among the mentioned responsibilities, I also am responsible to offer community presentations and clinics to our community. For example, I'm currently working with the Coachella Valley Housing Coalition and the Indio Senior Center and putting together representations and possibly clinics in the following weeks to come. November 18, we actually have a scheduled representation at the Indio Senior Center. We're also looking at the opportunity, like I mentioned, to hosting a REAP clinic sometime in the future. The reason I bring that up is because our clinics are very important because we can actually enroll customers right in the spot. Usually when we put together these events, we promote in advance to our customers the type of documentation that they need to bring the day of the clinic so that they can actually process their application. And then right there, they're going to let them know if they qualify or not for the program. So basically, the reason why we're here is because our goal is to basically increase our exposure and services to the community, especially here in the city of Indio. And we look forward to working with you in the near future. If you have any questions or you have any concerns that you guys want to bring to us, please don't hesitate to contact us. Basically, that concludes our presentation. And again, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to provide an answer.
Council, any questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
I did have, first of all, thank you for sharing that information with us on the programs. I was going to ask if we could maybe get some flyers that we could share on social media so we can get that information out on our end as well to our residents.
We'll be more than happy to provide that, sir.
Thank you. Another, one of the great programs that I wanted to mention was the one I saw where they were able to provide kind of help with insulation, like on the doors, sealing the doors, the smart thermostats, and I think it was service to air conditioners. I shared that one before, so I wanted to thank you again for that. I know our residents are very happy with some of those services. I did have one question. So this is something that was asked to me from one of our residents recently. So the question was, seeing the shortage of the substations in our city and the lack of funding for infrastructure for new developments, the question they had was, if we're paying our bills and our businesses are paying their development impact fees, then how are we so far behind on funding for infrastructure, and what can we do to make sure that we don't get into those issues in the future?
Well, that's a great question, Councilman. Thank you for asking it. I think just like any other utility, development pays for growth. And so that's kind of the struggle that we're in. But we are looking and we are working with the cities. I think we have a standing meeting with city managers to come up with a solution to the issue of what you speak to, which is substations, right? Our goal at IID is to provide power as we do for our customers, right? So we will continue to develop our plans and in conjunction with working with the cities to make sure that we're providing power, and that's our job to make sure that the lights stay on.
I think just to piggyback off that, and something that I talk with our constituents about, and something like a help with is we do have the CVEC, and our goal is to come up with ways that we could develop that funding, and so we could have a reliable power infrastructure and also focus on development in our community. So we're working hand in hand with neighboring cities and also IID to come up with those solutions, and we're well on the way of getting there. But as far as the programs, what I want to highlight is, first of all, thank you for your presentation. This is really good information. We have a diverse community of folks, a lot of seniors on fixed income. Some folks are burdened with high utility fees, and IID is our fees are very generous. So I appreciate that. And I want to know how our folks, what's the mechanism to sign up for these programs? So the residents could go into our office, our La Quinta office, and take the necessary paperwork in, and they'll be signed up on the spot. We have a window dedicated to energy assistance, basically from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So residents, there is a window. It's all the way on the left-hand side, and if that's not open, but pretty much at any window they can help you. But we encourage residents to reach out to us and sign up for these programs. As just to give you a little bit of insight, the 30 megawatts that we procure, any resident that's signed up for resident assistance program is given an additional discount because IID procures solar. Yeah.
So that's on top of 30 or 20, you could see an additional 5 to 7% discount.
But I actually, for the record, I just want to announce that Councilmember Holmes is joining us via Zoom, so she's here, and she does have her hand raised. So would you like to make a comment, Councilmember?
Just a quick question. Being able to go down to the facilities in La Quinta is nice, but can we apply online? I think some of our residents may not have the transportation or the ability to get down to La Quinta if they're sort of applying for these kinds of this effort. They may not be able to drive down there. Can we send them online to make these applications?
The information is online, but the documents will have to be sent to our office. So I think what you're speaking to is maybe us hosting a REAP clinic directly with the city and having residents come down and sign up directly with Lee here.
I think maybe in the future there may be a possibility for that to happen. I think working with our city and other jurisdictions, because some folks like I talk about our senior community who may live on the other side of town, or some folks down in Mecca, they may not be able to make it there. So I think maybe working with the IID, we could come up with that infrastructure to where folks can do that. Or we do have these fairs, and we have resource fairs and things like that where we could do pop-ups, or even here at City Hall, and we could work with folks if they need assistance getting there. Maybe we could work with our city and see how we could collaborate on that. But we're more than welcome to collaborate to host something here at City Hall, or maybe the teen center, senior center, especially because that's where our seniors congregate. So we're also willing to help on that spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely would like to provide you that support. So, I've only been here for a couple months, but we already basically connected with a lot of nonprofit organizations throughout Coachella Valley. One of the things that my goal is to basically, like I said, put together, create some partnerships so that we could actually connect with our customers. So that, a lot of these organizations, they already have basically their base, it's basically low income families. And that's one of the reasons why we're trying to create partnerships, because they already know how to reach them and where they at, so that we could work together and basically put something together and make some type of clinic so that we can have actually our customers come over. So they don't have to go specifically to La Quinta, but we could actually do, like you said, it could be at the Indio Senior Center, which is something that we're already working on. But instead of just focusing on the seniors, we could probably focus on just as the community as a whole.
Wow. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, and we talked about training and that. We also talked about possibly going to our golf course and some of the bigger HOAs. And just because they live in an HOA, and maybe that doesn't mean that they're not
they're mobile. Yeah.
They're mobile, or at the same time have the financial means. That might be all the property they have is their home, and they're living on a fixed income. So some of our bigger HOAs like Shadow Hills, Terra-Lago, some of the other ones, and some of our older communities down like in the old town, maybe we can do one here at City Hall and have them come in and bring their paperwork here, help them photocopy stuff. A lot of that is issues with their ability to work with media and technology, and at the same time, they're not having the ability to copy stuff, bring copy. A lot of these individuals keep everything still in a folder, and they don't want to give their copies up. So we can help them with copies, maybe push that forward, and at the same time bring out some of the programs that they have that are able to replace items like the air conditionings or other stuff if we could. Yeah. And that might be a good opportunity for our city maybe to partner with them too, to use some of our housing money or some of the other money to support, maybe like we're doing with the turf rebates and everything else.
Yeah, I have a question as well. I hate to keep you on the hot seat. You mentioned some of these programs. Do you have any other programs for veterans?
At this point, veteran-specific programs, I have to get back to you with that information. Okay. But I did want to put our presentation back up because we have our contact information on there. And then we do have that weatherization program. Yeah. And that can be found right on iid.com. So appreciate it. And could be okay.
The Mayor Pro Tem has one more question for you.
Yeah, I did see the solar for the solar power that you're paying 6.98 cents per kilowatt. Is that new? Is that a recent program, or has that been going on?
No, that replaced the net metering program. And so anybody that interconnects, today or going forward, or not, it was before today, but it was, I believe it was about a year ago. Okay. So if you have solar currently, then you get reimbursed at 6.98 on a monthly basis. Okay. But those that were grandfathered in from the net energy metering program, those are 1-to-1. So our energy rates, our kilowatt sales currently is at 11 cents a kilowatt. So they get reimbursed at a little bit higher rate.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to say thank you to your team. When we had that big storm recently, we had some power outages going on and everything. And I know you guys got on it pretty quickly. I know Mr. Arredondo was here in downtown Indio at like 12 o'clock at night, figuring out those issues. So I just wanted to say thank you for figuring that out quickly for our residents to get their power back.
No, thank you. And thank you for the support. I just want to mention one more thing on the presentation. Our 1-800 number was there. And why that is important is because anytime something happens or you have a question, it's the best way to do it is to call that number, and because you get a file number, and that number will follow your issue with IID, or let's say you want to report a power it creates a tracking mechanism for us to make sure that we get to your issue, right? So if there's a power outage in your house, or you're replacing your panel and you need us to turn off power temporarily, and you call that number, and we're able to. It's a queue that the jobs get. But any question, actually. So it's also the website iid.com, but also you can call customer service 24/7 and ask any question, and they will get back to you.
Yeah. No, we appreciate it, and I appreciate you making yourself available. And I'll also add your personal number to that, so folks. No, but I appreciate you reaching out, because sometimes you'll give me a call or a text, and I wouldn't even know that there was a power outage. So before we even are notified, the situation is rectified. So I appreciate you for your work. And if we don't have any other questions, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you for being so supportive all the time as well. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
you. So our next item is item 5.2. We have a proclamation for Fire Prevention Week, and there's only 3 of us here. So why don't we all come down and present this proclamation? I can ask Frida to join us. Come join us. Man with the real handshake. There it is.
And the hot seat.
Yeah. Pass that down over here. Yeah, we have. So I got for you to stand here and hold that for us. Thank you. And Chief White, welcome to our council meeting. Thank you for having us. I know it's Fire Prevention Week. However, I just want to show my appreciation for what our fire do. I always say this at our meetings. I don't think we all understand what our firefighters do. They just don't show up on a call, code 3, and put out fires. It's a lot of boots on the ground work and dealing with a lot of different incidents, and really encountering folks sometimes at the worst times of their lives. And you are all away from your family so much to provide the service for us. So I appreciate that. And I'll read a couple of whereases for you, but I just want to show my appreciation for you, your staff. And just like a lot of our first responders and law enforcement, we're short on staff, and we need our yak to go out there and talk to your partners and really start thinking about joining our police departments and our fire departments, and really wearing a different hat of service in your community. So we could use that for that recruiting, because we do need your services as well. And so just thank you for that. And so I'm just recruiting for you, you know. Yeah, we could use the help we get, because we could never have too many firefighters and police officers. So it is Fire Prevention Week, October 9th through the 15th, 2022. And it says, whereas the city of Indio is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting in the city of Indio, whereas residents who have planned and practiced a fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. Whereas Indio's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fire injuries through prevention and protection. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Wayman Furman, Mayor of the City of Indio, along with Indio City Council, do hereby proclaim October 9th to the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week, and extend our appreciation to the men and women who risk their lives to protect all residents and visitors of the City of Indio. Thank you. A couple words for the fire chief.
I just want to thank you for all you do. And I think the mayor said it right. You guys just aren't there to fight fires. I think an 80+% of your calls are for medical. And then the other part of it is just getting out. You have accidents, you have other stuff. You're the first one that comes out and does things. You're the first one that people see. And it's always good to see a firefighter behind you, not a police officer. So everybody loves a firefighter. But I don't think that people realize how long you're away from your family, sometimes 72 days. And when you look at what you're doing, it's amazing, the support. I was at downtown yesterday, and there was Station 80 was there, and they had the hose. They had a group of young toddlers from one of the daycare centers. They were using the hose to do it out, and the future firefighters. So thank you for just not what you do to protect us, but also what you do for our community to make it a better place to live.
And I just want to say thank you as well to you and your team and to all of our firefighters really around California. We know it's a really tough time with all the increasing dangers out there. So really appreciate your hard work. We really appreciate the education that you guys give to our community to not only fight fires, but to prevent the fires from happening in the first place. So we recognize all that work that you guys do for us. And also a big thank you to all your families as well. You know, the families of our firefighters who put up with so much, right, for to support you all and to support our communities as well. So thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Say any words?
Yeah, just a couple of words on Fire Prevention Week. You know, it's a great opportunity to get out and meet with the community. Like we had talked about the support, and we want our citizens of Indio to be safe. So this is the 100th anniversary of the National Fire Protection or Prevention Week, and it started and commemorated the Great Fire in Chicago. And so there's a couple of, key buzzwords that we like to say. And this year's theme is fire won't wait, plan your escape. So a couple of things that we want our residents and especially our young ones to do at home is to have an escape plan. If there's an emergency at your house, if there's a fire, how are you going to get out of there? And more importantly, we typically use the front door. What is your backup plan? What is the second way to get out? Are we going to be using a window? Or are we going out the back door? And then to have a meeting spot. Once our family safely evacuates the home, where are we going to meet? And a couple of other key points that I really want to stress is we want you to hear the beep where you sleep. It is critically important to have a working smoke detector in your bedroom and in the hallways. Smoke detectors require typically a 9-volt battery. We like to say to change your batteries when we change our clocks, which is right around the corner. And most people don't know that smoke detectors are only good for about 10 years. So pull that smoke detector down every now and again, test it, look at the manufacturer replacement sticker on there. And if it's older than 10 years, replace it, because something as simple as an annoying beeping sound is enough to wake you up in the middle of the night and mean the difference between life and death. The last piece that I'd like to leave with, especially for parents with little ones at home, and I know that this is going to be tough. I have little ones myself. But we want you to really start focusing on getting your kids to sleep with the doors closed. Fire is an incredibly lazy animal, and it takes the path of least resistance. When we leave our bedroom doors open and our little kids so they can see the light on in the hallway, if there's a fire from unattended food that night or something in the laundry room, it's incredibly easy and it moves fast. It'll move out of that kitchen, move out of the laundry room. The modern fire environment that we call it, all of our materials today are all made out of synthetics and oil. And fires are 400% more BTU increase. And you could have as little as 2 minutes to safely make it out of the home. Something as simple as closing that 1-hour rated fire door can mean the difference between a toddler surviving a fire or not. We're 5 minutes or less. You just got to give us 5 minutes and we'll be there. So a couple of points to just drive that home and really make a difference and keep the residents and the citizens of Indio safe. And thank you all for all of the support and appreciate it.
Councilmember Holmes or Amit, do you have any comments for our fire chief?
Thank you very, very much. Let's go. It goes, the job of the fire department goes into inspections of commercial buildings and so on and so forth. So every day, everything you do revolves around keeping your community safe. And I do appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and the entire department for your service. I remember Fire Prevention Week as a child when you would come into our schools and help us children understand. Thankfully, we haven't had too many fires that have engulfed families, but I do appreciate that you continue to spread the word so that our families can be safe and have a plan, and so that we can minimize the impacts of these fires in households and even in commercial buildings. It's important that offices and employees understand their exit plan. Most of them are posted on the walls in public buildings. But that's all because of your efforts and the continued efforts of this program. So I want to thank all of you, not only for your service, but for continuing to raise awareness amongst our community members. Thank you.
Would you like to say something to the chief? Okay.
Thank you very much for protecting our city and for creating a healthy and safe community. I know it's not very easy to wake up early in the morning or late at night to make everyone stay safe. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much. It's our honor and our privilege and pleasure to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Oh, do we need a photo?
I would love
to. Okay. We have, am I on? Okay, there we go. We have a couple of more proclamations. We have also Indigenous People Day, which is October 10th, 2022. Are we presenting this one to anyone, or is this going to be on display in the city? Okay, I'll read some whereas. And we do, if we do not have anyone to take the proclamations, they will be displayed in City Hall. So it says, whereas Indigenous People Day is an opportunity to spotlight current injustices as Indigenous people have often been forgotten in the development of our country. And whereas the city of Indio recognizes Indigenous people in the city and anywhere in the United States as we pay respect to the cultures and populations that exist long before European contact with this land. So too, we celebrate the contributions of all Indigenous people to the culture and diversity, innovation, and resilience that has had an intangible impact on the Coachella Valley. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Wayman Furman, Mayor of the City of Indio, along with the Indio City Council, do hereby proclaim October 10th, 2022 as Indigenous People Day, and encourage all citizens, businesses, organizations, and public institutions to acknowledge the historic sacrifices of Indigenous people and recognize the contributions of this population to the Coachella Valley. So we do have the proclamation. Let's get a photo. And our star of the day could stand forward in the middle. Before we leave, I do have some public comments. You can grab them for me, yeah, before. Oh, we have another one. Okay, I have public comment from Eric Lemus for this proclamation.
Thank you, Council. My name is Eric Lemus. I just want to thank the city. This has been an ongoing process that our grassroots communities, our Indigenous communities, our different diverse communities here in the city of Indio have long seen this dream to come. It's not just an honor for me, but it's an honor for my family, for my wife and her family who continue their roots and their traditions here in the city of Indio. And if you guys have seen, quite making a very cultural experience for everyone. This is something that it's way beyond our roots. It's way beyond our calling. It's really our purpose here in the city of Indio to keep culture alive. And so with that being said, I just want to thank you guys. Thank you for everybody, all the conversations being held. I know it wasn't easy. I know we've had some pushback from prior city council members, but here we are today. So thank you.
All right, our next public comment is Claudia Armenta.
Good evening, Council. My name is Claudia Armenta, and I am here to speak about Indigenous Peoples Day. I want to first thank the Council for this proclamation. I know that it has been a fight in the past, and unfortunately, comments were said by council members on the pushback. I want to thank the city for doing this proclamation and continue to pushing on the efforts of recognizing on what has happened in the past and continue to educate on the true history on this Indigenous lands, saying comments such as, that was back in the day, or sadly times were different, or he discovered, or he found a new world. It's like saying that we did not have genocide, lands were not taken away, we did not have boarding schools, there isn't out there missing and murdered Indigenous women, and the generational traumas. So I thank the city for taking into consideration this proclamation, and we will continue to push efforts and to changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Gabriela Armenta.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. First of all, I want to say thank you for this proclamation. Words cannot describe as an Indigenous woman of color what this means for myself and my family. I have been a resident of the city of Indio for many years, and it has been very difficult for me to work and live in a city that I call home when my local government pushes back a lot on the issues that I fight for. But this is a good start. The comments that I have right now are in regards to all of the pushback that we have received. I feel like there's a lack of almost education for some folks into how our country or this country started. And it's very upsetting to see that from some of the council members. Columbus Day is a reminder to Indigenous communities that when European settlers arrived in these lands, they were subjected to many forms of violence and all to destroy their communities and their way of life. I have many examples that I can share with you from European settlers paying other folks to kill Native people, to the 4,000 Cherokee people who died in 1837 in the Trail of Tears. There's a lot of discrimination that still continues to this day. And it's very sad to see that. So I would like for us to continue pushing forward to change the day from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day as a day that advocates and helps correct the whitewashed American history that has glorified Europeans like explorer Christopher Columbus, who have committed violence against Indigenous communities. We have long criticized the inaccuracies and harmful narratives of Columbus' legacy that credited him with his discovery of America when Indigenous people were already here. It's not simply about changing one day to another. It's about it's not about imposing a holiday or a celebration on anyone either. It's about an open call to change that must be backed up by action and active recognition of the continued survival and resilience of all Native people. Therefore, I'm still asking the city of Indio to continue this conversation and changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for your comments. Council, do we have any comments or input on our Indigenous People Day? You want to make any comments? Yeah.
I just want to recognize all the efforts that have been going on in our community from our tribal members and other Indigenous people, and keeping the education going, keeping their traditions alive, their culture alive, and sharing that those traditions with our community. I really appreciate all the work that's been going on with a lot of our local families here as well to share their experiences with our community. And I also agree, I'm really thankful for the proclamation as well. But I really do think that we should change the holiday And I'll make that request, in my comments later today to see if we can get consensus on changing the holiday from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. I think it is important. And I think it's important, especially it's a part of a much bigger push, right? Not just for the holiday, but for the recognition that we need to teach our true history and expand our ethnic studies and our cultural education in our community. So I think as part of that bigger push, we'll definitely push for that change as well. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you for all the comments. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing this forward, and look forward to the discussion.
Right. Thank you. Before we continue, we do have some more public comments online, and we'll give those folks opportunity to speak.
Yes, we have Jonathan Becerra. Jonathan, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My public comment is in solidarity with the community in support of replacing Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day, not just this year, but in future years as well. This should be an easy choice. Our city name and its meaning should have made this decision obvious when it came up to council years ago. More importantly, we share space in this valley with multiple tribes. It's incumbent upon us to take every opportunity to showcase respect and understanding for the community and neighbors, and that also includes our relationship with the tribes. I believe the city should just replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day and not let this drag on or fight the community on it. I thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to stress, we're as council members and electeds, we're not able to respond to public comments, but this item is for the proclamation. And if we need to have a further discussion about the holiday, we could do so. But this is for the proclamation and recognizing the great contributions that our Indigenous folks have made to our country and help get us here today, and recognize that we do need more education. And I just wanted to put that out because there are comments being made that as a council, we can't respond to at this moment. Okay, so we have 2 more public comments.
We have Paulina Angel. Paulina, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paulina Angel. I am a citizen here in the city of Indio. As a matter of fact, I'm born and raised here in the city of Indio. And I just like to voice my support for the proclamation for Indigenous People Day and for its change from what it used to be, which I do not feel comfortable mentioning that man's name since he was nothing but a scoundrel, a murderer, and a rapist. And I feel like we are at a turning point, especially in our city, to show that we are here to make change, to progress forward into the future, and to right the wrongs of the past. We've seen it in Palm Springs when they finally made their apologies about what happened on Section 14. And now it's time for Indio to go forward into the future by recognizing our Native Americans here that have always been here long before Christopher Columbus. Oh, shit, I said his name. Sorry. Ever step foot on our land. This has always been the land of Native Americans. It should always have been Indigenous People Day, and we should no longer recognize the other guy, So I support this proclamation, and I really hope it within the hearts of the city council to move forward with this and to make it happen. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Okay, thank you. We have one more comment.
I have 2. Karen Borja, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council and residents of Indio. I am a resident of Indio. I live on Miles Avenue. Similar to a comment made before, it's in our name. This makes sense to have a proclamation, but also beyond that, as a resident, I'd like to request that the council and city staff receive implicit bias training since and before our redistricting process. There are many who show very clear signs, indications, and have shared very disturbing comments of your lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, and lack of respect for the diversity of the residents that you time and time again share that you represent. So beyond just the proclamation, I really believe that it's time for you all to hire someone to come in, an expert outside of city staff, to give you all some implicit bias training. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And last is Yasmin Ramirez. Yasmin, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Yasmin Ramirez, and I'm with Inland Empire. Inland Equity Partnership and Coachella Valley Immigrant Dignity Coalition. And the reason why I decided to make a public statement today is the reason for my public comment, is to request that Indio City Council to stop celebrating Columbus Day. Just, can you please vote yes to change the date to Indigenous Peoples Day? I want to thank you guys for your time, and hopefully everything can get resolved peacefully. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any further?
No comments, Mayor.
Do we have any comments with our Councilmember Holmes or Amit?
I'll jump right in there. I appreciate the proclamation. I think that recognition for our Indigenous people is important. I thought the words on that proclamation hit home, and we'll have additional comments later, but I'm very glad and very happy that you brought that proclamation forward. Indio is a very diverse community, and we do need to celebrate all of the diversity in this community. I agree with that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Amit, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay, thank you. So once again, thank you all for being here and helping us recognize Indigenous People Day. City manager is listening, so if this is something that needs to go on the agenda, we'll follow up. Like I said, we can't comment on that right now, but thank you all for your comments, and they're noted. And so we'll move on to Community Planning Month. And so we have another proclamation. There we go. Oh, actually, do we need a photo? I'm sorry.
I got a photo.
Did you get a photo?
Yeah, right.
Get this one? Okay, I'm sorry.
Moving on.
I have everyone standing for 15 minutes, so I'm sorry. So, there he is, community planning. He's ready to go. Yeah, so Mr. Kevin Snyder, our Director of Community Development. And so our Community Planning Month, October 2022, says, whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for people work, live, and it also provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningful, involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning commissions and other citizens planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Indio. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Wayman Furman, Mayor of the City of Indio, along with the Indio City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2022 as Community Planning Month in the City of Indio in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. Thank you. And before we let you go, Kevin, we'll put you on the hot seat. First of all, I just want to say thank you for your work and dedication to the city of Indio. Since you arrived here, you've been going 100 miles an hour and you haven't stopped. And 95. But you know what? Drive around our city. The evidence is there. The proof is there. And it shows the hard work that you've been doing, your team has been doing. So not only for myself and our council, our constituents and our folks who are native to the city of Indio, we appreciate the hard work that's going on into our community. And there's a lot of great things going on, but it's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and a lot of it starts at your desk. So we appreciate it. So thank you.
Kevin, I want to say thank you to you and your team. I mean, the general plan, the zoning, it goes on and on, the work that you put into it. And I don't think people realize, along with you and Tim and getting the nuts and bolts, is really what the city comes back, and the rest of us are here to support you. But thank you and your team for your continual support. You've done things that we haven't done in over 30 years. So you should be well commended, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you and your team as well. We know there's a lot of requirements that you have to keep up with now, right? And with the zoning upgrade is huge for our city, and it's going to help us develop in a responsible way. But also, we know you have to keep up with the housing requirements. You have to keep up with the connectability requirements from the state, with with our water issues now that we're going to be having. So Kevin and his team are here, helping us out every week, and then they got to deal with us every 2 weeks. But they're really extremely helpful and extremely just a great service to our community. So we really appreciate you and your team. Thanks.
Thank you so much for all that you do in planning our city and for all the projects that you have been doing. Our youth really appreciate it, and because this is our city and we really want to value all the things that you have to offer us, and we look forward to the future projects you have ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Other council members?
Wait, we got Councilmember Holmes.
Sorry, it takes a minute to unmute. Kevin, without you, this city would not function or move forward. Yes, I'm going to go back to 100 miles per hour. That's for sure. You have helped us accomplish. You have taken our vision and moved forward, as Councilmember Miller said, the specific plan and the general plan and the significant growth in our community and the development in our community is managed so well by you. It allows us to explore and really be everything Indio can and wants to be. So thank you very, very much.
I just want to say thank you to the whole community development department. We certainly have come a long way. Just seeing where we were when I first came on council almost 20 years ago to where we are today, and how the city of Indio is just helping our city grow is an incredible feat. And I know that it can be attributed to many, many previous administrations as well. But I feel that the community development department that we have built today is really the team that's going to see this all come to fruition. So I really want to thank you for all your efforts and everything that you've brought forward in the past couple of years. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you to the City Council for this recognition, and also thank you to City Manager Montgomery. So Councilmember Miller stole my thunder a little bit, but I'll go ahead and say it. In the last 5 years, the city has started and completed 8 plans, and every one of those plans has been focused on improving the community, whether it's economic development, whether it's quality of life, whether it's improving access, or whether it's giving the opportunity where the opportunity didn't exist before. And the goal behind all of this is community. But as it's been pointed out several times by the council members, this is not done in a vacuum. So while the community development department is standing up here today with me representing it, there are a lot of other people that need to be acknowledged. And there are really key players, including our engineering team, our building team, our economic development team, and all the other parties that contribute to helping improve this community. So while this is a recognition for planning, community planning, it's really a recognition of all the wonderful work that's done by the city. And last but not least, the Planning Commission, who works on behalf of the City Council. They are your workhorses. They put countless hours in every month, and they are the ones that deliver great recommendations and great planning efforts to you, so that you and the rest of the council have the opportunity to bring forward these new ideas and hopefully improve Indio to a better place every single time we take one of these plans and planning efforts in front of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And we have one more, and I'm going to take center stage on this one, if you don't mind. This one is very personal, but it's also important in our community. And I do want to highlight our fire chief as well as we talk about this one. I talk about my own personal experience with breast cancer. October is also National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as you can see, I have my pink on, and I like to thank our council, our city manager, attorney, police chief, our staff are all wearing ribbons. It has my mother's picture on it. My mother passed from breast cancer 2 years ago. But on her final moments, I always told my mother that I would always advocate for breast cancer awareness and education in our community. So this is important to us and important to our city. And I also want to thank our fire department, because we talked about many of the services that they provide. My mom became good friends with our fire department. I don't know if it was 86, 87, 80. It didn't matter. If I called, they showed up and they helped her. They transported her. They talked to her. They laughed. And after they would get her to where she needed to go, they would also call me and check to see if my mother was okay or her status. And actually, I want to highlight this because this is important. Some didn't know at the time that I was a council member. They were just checking on Miss Furman to see if she was okay. So I want to thank our fire department for your service. Okay, so our proclamation says, whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a worldwide annual campaign in October involving thousands of organizations to highlight the importance of breast cancer awareness, education, and research. Whereas breast cancer is the most common cancer in American women, except for skin cancers, and early detection includes doing monthly breast exams and scheduling regular clinical breast exams and mammograms. And whereas increasing the public's knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer diagnosis and treatment can save lives. So now therefore be it resolved that I, Wayman Furman, Mayor of the City of Indio, along with the Indio City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We applaud the efforts of our medical professionals, researchers working to find a cure, and urge everyone to increase their knowledge about breast cancer and join us to celebrate the successes and memorialize the lost battles. So thank you. And actually, if I can, could I get all of our staff up here who have their ribbons on? Yes. We have more, Kevin. We have more ribbons here. I think this is important. Come on up, Kevin. Yeah, we have Mike. Come on up, Mike. Scott here, Scott. Let's come on, Scott. We have another one. Did I get enough over there? No? Okay. So come up, yeah, come up to the front, yeah.
Let's do some. Yeah, there you go.
Mr. Trujillo, please join us. Are we out of ribbons? Yeah, come on up. Come on up.
Come on up.
We're representing as a city.
There you go. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. All right, and I just want to share, we have our ribbon with my mother's picture on it. She was a teacher in our community for 30 years, and one of her former students is sitting right in front, and she works for the city, Vanessa. So that was one of my mother's students. So we will move on now to consent calendar. Actually, do we have, we have our Youth Advisory Committee. Do you have a report for us?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I am Frida Arriaga, a junior at Shadow Hills High School, and I'm also Mayor Pro Tem of the Youth Advisory Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak in the dais. I'd like to start by sharing the events that YAC has participated in this month. YAC celebrated and attended the Zero Prostate Run Walk, which raised money and awareness for local patients, and it celebrated prostate cancer survivors. Last Saturday, YAC attended the Find Food Vac event at Shadow Hills High School. We helped with managing the traffic of the cars coming into the high school and distributing food products into the cars. Last Wednesday, we also cleaned the street of the Indio Teen Center. And just last night, YAC also attended the National Night Out. It was lovely meeting all the police officers and the fire station department, and we got free e-pills, which was really nice as well. And one topic that came into discussion for YAC was creating a race event in the city of Indio. It would be a New Year's race within the first 2 weeks of January because many people have New Year's resolutions of getting a more active lifestyle and having creating more healthier life choices. Just like Coachella has Run with Los Muertos and in November and Palm Springs has Santa Paws in December, we believe that a race in Indio will help increase activity within our city. Various families and school students from other schools will join together in our wonderful city to be able to participate in this race, and we will have a fun time. We can create the 5K mile race course around the Riverside County Fairgrounds, and we would like to hear the city's thoughts on this project. That is all the Youth Advisory Council has reported this month, and thank you for your time.
Great, that's a great report. I'll open it up to our council. On your thoughts of having a wellness run at the turn of the year. So, council, what do you think about that?
I think it's great. I think, wherever we have it, I think it's a great opportunity to get our community out, not only be healthy, but at the same time, maybe get our families and other people for a good cause, maybe even breast cancer or something else, maybe go for a charity towards something besides and, be able to keep awareness going, but at the same time, get some activities. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Councilmember Amit?
In the city of Indio, and I think this would be a great addition.
Councilmember, you're coming in garbled. Yeah. She supports it.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's smiling, so she's smiling, so that's good. So, Councilmember Holmes.
They're absolutely supported as well. How great! We need to wrap it around something, an event, a time of year, a nonprofit, as Councilmember Miller said, something. But I think that was terrific. We had something, years ago, and I for whatever reason it kind of didn't continue. But boy, I think especially with YAC leading the charge, I think that's outstanding.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, actually, I talked with Frida at an event this weekend, and we had some conversations about the walk, and we were talking about the different dates. But I think that sounds good. The beginning of the year, a New Year's run. I think some people are still like on vacation or coming out of vacation, right? And then, like you said, everybody has their New Year's goals for fitness and all that. So I think that's a great idea. And once you guys figure out where you want the funds to go or how you guys want to distribute that, let us know, and we're supporting you guys.
Thank you very much.
Well, I definitely support it. I know we've done some hikes and things like that, and we only have a couple of months if we want to get this done.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of ideas. One of the idea is kind of put together a resource fair at the Miles Park, and we could do something there. I think that would be a good idea. We also have the fairgrounds, but I don't know if the fairgrounds have anything planned at that time, so we could reach out to them. And we also have partners at Empire Polo. Now, I don't know if they have anything going or at that time, or if they're doing any kind of planning. That's also an avenue. However, our staff is listening, and they're shaking their heads like, oh man, we got but it's not that hard to put this on. I think it'd be a great event for all of us to come out and walk or run and get some resources. I know we have a lot of nonprofits. We had IID here earlier talking about programs. The city of Indio has lots of programs that we could get our water out and some of our staff out. So we could definitely talk about doing something and also having the funding for it in the future. So thank you for the suggestion, and we'll talk about it.
Thank you so much for offering your programs and services to us.
Thank you. Yes. You're still coming in.
Log out, log back in.
Yeah, you might have to log out and log back in.
The Senior Center has had a health fair. It's an annual event. If we could partner with them and bring the generations together, I think that would be a great event. And as far as the fair, I mean, we can just do the event around the fair. It doesn't have to be on the fair. But yeah, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I know we've worked with Ben on doing some resource fairs, and we just had our emergency preparedness event that was excellent. So this is just another opportunity to give our partners and folks a mechanism to come out and let the community know what we have. So we'll definitely work on that, but we appreciate the suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you so
And I
much.
promise I'll run one lap.
Thank you.
All righty. So we'll move on.
Is that before or after those amazing cinnamon rolls at the fair?
Oh, yeah. It'd be
Yeah, it's
after,
gonna have to be after.
or I could earn it. So if I earn it, then I can have one, right? So we appreciate it. So our next item is report on City Council external and internal boards. We'll go ahead and start. Councilmember Holmes, would you like to start us off?
Well, I would love to, except that it seems like all of my, I think I had 6 different meetings at the last council meeting, and at this point, I have not had any commissions. They haven't been dark. They're just not falling into line with this particular first week. So I don't have anything to report at this point in time. Thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Is Amit back on yet? No. Is she there? Okay, well, in the meantime, Councilman Miller, you go ahead and go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 of my committees were active. One was ECAC, as the IID was talking about. We talked about the budget, going over the items that we were going to recommend to the full board of IID. Was a little weak on infrastructure. Something that Mr. Trejo and I talked about is that their investment back into the Coachella Valley through opportunities seem like they're always coming from the developers and money coming from us, where their infrastructure, I think, should be paid partially by them. And that was something that not only we discussed, but the city of La Quinta and also some of the Coachella staff that were on there. We just feel that they're not investing back like they should be. I know we're working on opportunities, but we're not in the business of power, and they are. So I think a lot of their infrastructure should come from them, and they get reimbursed as they go along. Their budget is a little over $1 billion. When you add in their water and that, it's not like they don't have the funding, and they also have a minus rating in bonding. So the money that they could get is actually there. So something we'll move forward with. We're going to get some more numbers on the budget, and we'll be able to bring that forward as long as they continue to keep our rates low. But the city of Indio can't prosper unless we continue to have power. We have all kinds of things coming forward, but unless we have that component, the new housing tracks and some of the other stuff just aren't going to be able to go forward. So we need to be able to do that, and we need to keep on IID. And I know that the city manager and our mayor are working on that. Sunline Transit Agency, we had our meeting. Unfortunately, some of the buses that we have are older. We are going to refurbish 14 buses. They're CNG, they're natural gas. We were looking to go towards hydrogen cell, which we have, but the buses are unavailable. So we're going to take 14 buses down. It'll be about $4.5 million. Each bus is about $1 million if you were to get a CNG bus. So we're going to save about $10 million. We're in the middle of labor negotiations, still working on labor negotiations, and hopefully we get that resolved there very shortly so we can get our bus line back in order. Hopefully be able to get it full rate. Right now, we're only running partial rates because we don't have the drivers. So anybody looking for an opportunity to work for Sunline, they have a lot of openings. So if there's anybody out there that that would like to come work for Sunline, they have a lot of job openings that we are trying to fill. And then also at the same time, we had the all mayors and tribal council meeting that was there. Thank you, Mr. Furman, Mayor Furman, for your diligent report on the city of Indio and your enthusiasm when you got up there. You did a great job representing the city of Indio, and it's great to hear all the other mayors and the tribal councils that work together. I mean, we are the city of Indio, and we have to worry about our city, but we don't work unless we all work together. This valley is so close, so tight knit, from public safety to transportation to employment to economics. Yes, we have to worry about the city of Indio, but at the same time, not everybody lives in the city of Indio, works in the city of Indio. We work throughout the Coachella Valley. So the better that Coachella does, the better Palm Springs does, the better this business opens up in the new arena, the better the city of Indio will be. So we got to remember that and continue to support. And it was great to hear all the great things coming through all the cities. And then we had the 27th annual Valley-wide Business Expo at Fantasy Springs, our great partner, the Cabazon tribe. hosted again with the County of Riverside. Over 100 vendors were out looking for employees. Over 3,000 people came through to be able to look at new opportunities and new employment. So there are jobs out there available. So we appreciate that you were there, Mayor, be able to talk, and also that we had a lot of our local businesses that were there looking for employees. So great to see. And then one thing I'd like to kind of bring up, and this has always been a problem for me, is the city to me just isn't clean. And a lot of it has to do with the I-10 freeway. You know, we don't have opportunities there. And we always talk about cleaning these neighborhoods, which we do got to get back into our community cleanups, but there's small stuff all over the place. And I'd like to recommend two things and something maybe hopefully staff can look into. First off, we have Cvag, who does our sweeping, does half of our main roads, and then the city of Indio does the other half. You know, you go down Indio Boulevard that they clean, it's just not clean. There's dirt and dust there, and the city of Indio shouldn't be responsible for that. I think we really need to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, to see if we need to either take it back over, come up with other ideas, other solutions to make sure our city's cleaning. But we shouldn't have to go back behind Cvag and re-sweep the streets that they've swept. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's clean. And the other thing is I'd like to see, and we have our churches, we have our schools. Instead of going out and doing a neighborhood, I'd like to see us if we could go through the city and just pick up trash and debris. Go through the fields, go through the streets, do the stuff. I know, do it in a safe manner in a lot of areas, and clean this up and just throw the bags aside and go through and pick things up. There's tires in places, there's, you know, couches and stuff, and doing one neighborhood's one thing, but getting the whole community involved in cleaning up our city. And hopefully that spills into other people to continue to clean. And when they see a tire or they see something, I don't think people understand that if you see a couch out there, you see tires, if you call the city, and that Bird Tech will go out and pick that stuff up for free. If you have something that you at your house that's huge, put it out front and call Bird Tech, they'll come pick it up. There's no need for us not to be able to do it. And I think it helps our city to be a cleaner, more bright place, and it gets our community back out into the streets and talking to their neighbors. So hopefully we can come forward and do some more cleanup and make our city a better place to live. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you for your report. Is Councilmember Mead back on?
Yes, I'm on. I don't have a city council report this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We can hear you loud and clear now. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday, I attended our national night out with a lot of our public safety officials and staff. I wanted to thank all of them for participating. I know it means a lot to our community to be able to build relationships with our public safety officials, and the kids really enjoyed themselves being able to meet all of you. So thank you again. I also attended the swearing in ceremony for 3 new officers in our police department: Officer Samuel Chavez, Officer Benjamin Moran, and Officer Saul Sandoval. And we want to thank them again for their service and for their commitment to our city. And also a big thank you to their families for their service to our community in supporting our officers and all they do to keep our community safe. I filled in for Mayor Furman at the Cvag Executive Committee while he was out at DC earlier this month. We approved the contract to help some of the blow sand and flooding issues we see in the Western Coachella Valley. As many of you know, during sandstorms and rainstorms, we often close down some of the main roads coming from the freeway, making it difficult to continue business and also have access to emergency vehicles during these severe storms. So staff found some prefabricated options for some of the smaller bridges needed that brought down costs from $600 million to just over $100 million. We also approved an agreement in that meeting to improve the road between Coachella and Indio on Avenue 48 from Van Buren to Dillon, which is a much needed improvement for both of our cities. I had a chance to talk with our youth, Mayor Pro Tem Frida, here this weekend at an event, and we talked about the race Yak wants to do in the city. And I was pleased to hear that she's looking to attend Stanford University, my alma mater, where she wants to study computer science. She currently has a 4.75 GPA at Shadow Hills, and she's doing some great community work with our youth council. And she's also on the cross country team and trying out for the water polo team as well. So just wanted to share her great accomplishments and great ambitions. And we wish her the best of luck on her junior year at Shadow Hills, and best of luck getting to Stanford.
Wow. Yeah. Well, applause to her.
Yeah. I also wanted to acknowledge the petition we received today for to eliminate Columbus Day from our city and replace the city holiday with Indigenous Peoples Day. I think the proclamation was a good step forward, but I think our community is asking us to go a step further in here. And so it's something I brought up before, and I wholeheartedly agree with our community members who brought up this issue. To me, that this was Columbus was a man who he led the enslavement of many Native communities, the massacre of many communities, and a lot of sexual violence against Native women. So it's just a lot of trauma that's in our communities, and I think we should take that step forward and eliminate that holiday. So I think it also it goes against our community values of improving our relationship with our Native Kauai community and other Native communities in our region. And as I said earlier, it's just one small part of a much bigger fight in our community to increase our knowledge of our true history, pushing for things like inclusion of the Native perspective in our history classes and the expanding of ethnic studies in our high schools, and supporting our Native community in their efforts to keep their traditions alive and share their traditions and knowledge with our community. So I wanted to see if we could get consensus to bring this back as an action item for our next meeting to remove Columbus Day from our city's holidays and replace it with Indigenous Peoples Day. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I'd like to ask the council, is that something that we want to bring back? I know we talked about it before, but if our Mayor Pro Tem is requesting that.
I just wanted to add on that topic, it is a big, significant issue across the country. It is by law a federal holiday and by state law a state holiday. We also have it embedded within our memorandum of understandings with all of our labor units to be that day. So I think there is a cause and a fight and an argument, but it may be best had at the state level rather than just the city of Indio. I'm not sure. We won't be able to change state law, won't be able to change the federal law. We renegotiate these labor agreements every few years. But as it sits right now, I think it'd be very difficult to accomplish. And perhaps the cause should be at a higher level of government.
Yeah.
Well, just on that note, we've seen it done at the city of Coachella. So maybe just looking at the process of how they accomplish that, but we've seen it done locally here.
Yeah, it just didn't change the holiday. You can say what you want, but it doesn't change the state or federal holiday. That's the point to be made.
Yeah. I think, it wouldn't hurt to have the discussion. The city manager brought up a point that it is recognized. And I think what the request is to remove Columbus Day from the city. So I wouldn't mind having that discussion and let the democratic process work its way through the city. And I will respect what our council comes up with. So that's my view on it.
Mayor?
Yes.
I do not support having a conversation on this topic. As the city manager so eloquently stated, this is a state and federal holiday. We can do nothing to change it. Whatever the city of Coachella did is unofficial. I have no issue with considering an additional day to be memorialized as Indigenous People Day. If we were to consider that, I would consider the same day as the tribal powwows, which is the first Friday or the Friday after Thanksgiving. But to eliminate history just because we do not like what it states is contrary to what history is about. History is about the good and the bad and how we became who we are today as a United States of America. So I do not approve or agree with us eliminating a federal or state holiday. I think that we should maintain that holiday, whether we agree with it or not. Just as there are many other holidays throughout the year that some of us may not totally agree with. But I am not opposed to considering an Indigenous Peoples Day. It would just have to be another day that is more representative of what the Indigenous people are celebrating, which the only celebration that we have for Indigenous people at this time is the powwow. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I actually appreciate your alternative as well. Councilmember Holmes.
I completely and totally agree. And thank you once again for doing that proclamation. To take a look at where this world and this country started with our Indigenous people, to celebrate that. I think things ended up in a different direction than I intended in previous comments. We need to celebrate all that they have done and brought. My concern is with eliminating Columbus Day, I would support a separate day for Indigenous People Day. And however we do that, our modern time tribes, my goodness, look at what they do, how we celebrate them, what they bring to our local communities is outstanding and appreciated and valued. What Columbus did, the atrocities that occurred, need to be remembered. That's history. Beyond that, he established trade. I really have thought a lot about this, and I look back, but we exist because of Christopher Columbus, because he established trade between Europe and America, because he brought foods and everything and fruits and coffee and cows and chickens. He created the Americas. And so to obliterate that, to me, doesn't present history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to future generations. It also doesn't memorialize our Indigenous people, which I believe, agree, accept wholeheartedly in a separate, on a separate day, in a separate environment, without the cloud of saying we're doing Indigenous People Day so that we make Christopher Columbus go away. That's got to have its own separate thing. I don't believe he needs to go away. I do believe we need to celebrate Indigenous peoples.
Thank you, Councilmember. I appreciate your comments.
And if I could, Mr. Mayor, I
Yeah.
think that if we could get the city manager to do some research on back of what it's available, the ideas behind it, maybe I'll have some of our local tribes, the Cavazons, 29 or Agua Caliente, come back with some of their ideas and thoughts. I don't have a problem looking at both, but I'd like to get some more information from the city manager on what it is, and I'd like to hear what Coachella did too. Is it ceremonial where they went forward and just changed the day and knowing that it wasn't going to do anything, or and it's ceremonial? Let's see what there's an opportunities there. I do agree with that Indigenous Day needs to be celebrated in some way. Luffy does have a good opportunity with the powwows and maybe supporting and working with Cavazon or Spotlight 29 on some of the opportunities that they have. So I'm more than happy to look at it.
Okay. Well, I like to make that suggestion, city manager. How about we do talk to our local tribal councils and get a perspective and how we can further celebrate the holiday. I think that's a good idea.
We'll do that research. The state has designated, it's like the fourth Friday of September as Native American Day. So there is that designation, but getting with the local tribes on a meaningful day for them could be accomplished.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
No, I think I just wanted to mention, the concept that we're erasing history. I think that's inaccurate. I think just because it's history doesn't mean that we celebrate it, right? We don't get a day off for the things that Hitler accomplished, right? It's history, but we don't celebrate that. And so I just wanted to make that point because it's our choice here to celebrate Columbus Day. And it's not something that I see that should be celebrated. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think as city manager, I think that would be the next steps. Let's talk to our local partners and tribes and get a perspective. And it may not be an action item because I don't know if we have a consensus of really eliminating Columbus Day. It looks like it's kind of a tie. It looks like, however, there were some good alternatives of how we can continue to celebrate our Indigenous people of our country. So maybe that's something the city manager could bring back in a presentation or just in your comments at a further meeting. Yeah. Okay. And I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate all of our council members weighing in. 5 brains are better than one. So I heard some really good stuff. And so I, just like any other thing, we'll work our way through it. And so thank you. So I was gone our last meeting, so I have a lot to share. Councilmember Miller made the comment earlier that Wayman does get super excited about our city, and I'll share some of that excitement. However, I want to start with kind of the big brother conversation, and especially when I have my yak here, I'm going to need some help. and I'm a very emotional person, and I get super excited about things, and I could listen to a song and I could be in tears, and just the last couple of days I've been a little upset, and I have to explain why. The last couple of years as a council and as a city, we've asked our residents to trust us with their tax dollars. We passed Measure X, and we actually extended it. Was a Measure E. We extended it. So by allow our taxpayers and our constituents allowing us to do that, we worked on major infrastructure projects. Mr. Wasso could get up and talk about the millions of dollars we have put in our city, and folks see it. I mean, you drive around our city, there's construction everywhere, there's road improvements. Some roads haven't been touched in years, and I applaud that. And I get out there and I'm super excited about what I see. We're working on beautification projects, and these are happening real time. This is not something we're talking about today and we're going to see it in 5 years. The city manager and I, we had conversations about our Desert Gardens area, and that's right across the street from the John Noble's property. And within weeks, a month, we had letters up identifying that area. And that's something that hasn't happened. And I have folks reach out to me and thank us and say, you know what, now we have an identity. We are Desert Gardens, and we appreciate what you guys are doing at the Carry-On Park. We appreciate the road improvements on the Kenner project and some of those things, and the street lights and the sidewalks and the many beautification projects we have going on, the landscaping, and moving very quickly. But what I'm upset about is I see these beautiful roads, and then I see tire marks and drag racing marks in our intersections. And I see tagging, and I'm not saying graffiti. I believe graffiti is artwork if it's in the right place, but I see public and private properties being destroyed around our city. And I was born at JFK Hospital, and I lived in a few different communities here in our city. And we've come a long way. And the last few years, we made some big strides. And some of these projects we have on our consent calendar, and some of these grants we've gone after, our city has really made some big improvements. And it's been a team effort. It's been our constituents. It's our staff working with our local and federal partners. And we really have to start taking care of our own city. Now, what I want to do, I want to take accountability for some of that, because I want to work with our city manager and our arts commission, and I want to provide a space where if folks want to display their artwork, we'll have a space for you to come and do it. But on our new bridges and our CV Link project we're working on, our Highway 111 corridor, our Monroe private businesses, we just can't have that. We've come so far to take steps back. So I want to work with our city manager on providing a space where we could work with some of our local urban artists, I like to call them, to give them a space to display their work. And as far as our roads and our street racing, so dangerous, very dangerous. We've lost people in our communities because of people doing burnouts or people racing in our streets. And initially, I have to say, I wanted to put more ordinance in place, and I wanted to take people's vehicles. But I talked to our city manager, and we were trying to come up with solutions to mitigate some of those dangers we have in our communities. So I'm reaching out to our community, our folks. We have to do better. We have to do better. Our city has come a long way. And seeing some of that stuff out there, it was upsetting to me, but I'm very optimistic. We have a great city, a great community, and I think that's just something we're going to turn around. But I hate to, I can't sit up here as a mayor or as a council member and be a steward of our residents and not protect their investment in our city. And that's what we're doing. We're protecting our constituents' city. So please just work with us on the beautification, as Councilmember Miller stated earlier. We have to do better, and I'm going to hold myself accountable now. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on it now. But next year, There might be some other things in place where we have to have more enforcement involved. The second thing is we have a crisis in our world, and it's not unique to Indio. And I want to talk about controlled substances. I'm going to be very blunt and frank about this. I'm not going to run or be part of any kind of city or council that has a lawless city. And I'm not going to tolerate open air drug sales or drug use. So please, to the folks who are out there, if you have someone who has a serious issue and you know of them, our city, our county, our state has a plethora of resources. We need to try to get folks help. Folks need help. Today I was getting gas next to In-N-Out, and there was a gentleman sitting outside of the drive-thru asking for money. And I went over and walked to him and I asked him his name and if he needed any assistance. And I work law enforcement. I worked in that arena, so I'm comfortable doing it. I don't advocate for anybody doing that. But I asked him if he had a habit, and he goes, yes, fentanyl. And I begged to him, please take this olive branch and get help, because fentanyl is killing our kids, it's killing our family members, and it's killing folks who live in our city. And I have to say, our district attorney is pursuing murder charges against drug dealers who are selling fentanyl that result in the death of someone. And as the mayor of the city, I'm going to support his efforts. Now, I work in a level 4 state institution, and I understand the consequences of incarceration and what it does to people and their families. But we also know better, and we can do better. Fentanyl is very, very dangerous. And I cannot turn on the news another day or open up the paper and see that I've lost two more people in our city or another person in our city because of fentanyl use. So I had to really put that out there because those are serious issues that we're dealing with in our community. And we talk about the great things, and I have some great things I'm going to talk about. But while our residents and our visitors are having fun and thriving on those good things, those are the things I'm working on. I'm focusing on that. And so, city manager, can you inject some oxygen in the room so folks can breathe? I'm done with that part. So let's talk about some fun stuff, some good stuff. So like I said, I've been gone the last meeting. I was out, and I'll talk about that. But one of I missed our Cvag Homelessness Committee meeting. I thank Councilmember Holmes for stepping in for me and advocating for me to be chair. However, I will be vice chair of the Cvag Homelessness Committee. Homelessness and unsheltered folks, that's a passion of mine to work with. And so I'm looking forward to really bringing a different vision of how that committee could work. And I also have to add that I've been elected again for the 3rd year in a row to be the Public Safety Committee chair. So being that I have those 2 positions, I really want to work together with those committees because I believe public safety is part of some of the issues we have with our homelessness and unsheltered community. I also attended a ribbon cutting ceremony for Refuge Pregnancy Center that's located on Dr. Carry-On. Great organization, free of charge. It's a nonprofit, and they work off donations in our community. They provide services for the mother and father before and after pregnancy. So if you need to get checked, if you need clothes, if you need formula, this organization has that free of charge, and it's right on Dr. Carry-On. It's at 81557. Suite B5, and great ribbon cutting, great ceremony. They're doing excellent work, and I like to thank them for serving our community. As mentioned earlier, I did attend a swearing ceremony for our new 3 police officers. Thank you, Chief, and thank you to your team for recruiting all over our state and country. Our police department is doing an excellent job of recruiting, and I even witnessed it during COVID, how they pivoted and to still being able to test and have physical agility tests for candidates. So I hats off to our police department and Sergeant Hollowell for your recruiting process. And Indio is such a great place to work. And like I mentioned before, years ago, I said I always thought I would be an Indio police officer, not a council member, but I made it to the dais instead. So thank you, Chief, and thank you to the men and women who serve our community in that capacity. I also attended the Valley-wide Employment Expo at Fantasy Springs Casino with Councilmember Miller, another great event that goes on in our city. We really need to get that new workforce ready to take on our community. We had about 100 different potential employers there, from hospitality to law enforcement to medical, and our Indio Police Department was there. And so it was a great event. And also you can still go online if you're still looking for jobs. If you go onto their website, I don't know the website offhand, but if you just type it in Google, it will come up, because folks are still looking for workers. These last couple of years, we had a lot of folks retire, and now we have a new generation that needs to be nurtured into these positions. And our Coachella Valley is on the way up, so there's a lot of work here. So that was a great event. And I also attended the All Valley Mayor and Tribal Chair and County Supervisor luncheon. Great event. I love to brag about what our staff and our council and our community are doing in the city of Indio. Like it was mentioned earlier, we have a lot of road infrastructure projects that are going on. We're revitalizing downtown. We have construction at our new college expansion. We have a great historical museum at the Miles Park. We are working on our Indio marketplace, which is something that's just big to all of us. I watched our last council member meeting from 5,000 feet in the air. So I got to watch us operate, and it was good to see that we're moving forward with that and working with Hagen Group to make that happen after 30 plus years. So that is a big milestone for our city and our community. So I thank our council and our staff for working through some of these challenges that we had the last couple of years, but we're almost there. We're almost there to some groundbreaking. So good work. So thank you there. And I also attended the National Night Out. And so great event. Everyone who had a hand in that, hats off to you. I love coming to this event to get up and close personal with our law enforcement, our fire, our support services in the community, because those are the folks that we're calling when we need assistance. And I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's in the worst times of our life that I might need to see a firefighter or call a police officer when there's something going on in our community. So thank you. And I just want to highlight that I took a photo with our Border Patrol, our police, ABC, alcohol. Who else was there in our photo we took? We had a representative from Dr. Ruiz's office. It just showed the collaboration in our community of everybody who got in this photo. And that's how we have to move forward. It's about partnerships and shaking hands. And you don't have to play nice all the time in the sandbox, but get in the sandbox and see what it's about, and we'll move forward. And I think that's something we did good, and we're doing good in the city of Indio. We have a lot of partners, and we're collaborating on a lot of ventures. So I have to just thank our police department and thank everyone who had a hand in our National Night Out. And last but not least, I'm sorry to be long-winded, folks, but something that's very, very important. I missed our last council meeting because I was in Washington, D.C. And I sit on the Riverside County Transportation Commission, and one of our biggest projects is the CV rail. And you may have heard us talk about it throughout the years. Before I was on council, this has been a long-going effort, but right now we're in second tier. And what tier 2 is, it's going to give us the feasibility studies of where the stops are going to be at and the impacts in our community. And so myself, Ann Mayer, who is the director of RCTC, County Supervisor Karen Spiegel, and some of our staff and lobbyists were in DC for a couple of days. And we met with a representative from Senator Alex Padilla's office. We actually met with Senator Feinstein. We met with Congressman Tecano. We met with Congressman Calvert. We met with a representative from the U.S. Department of Transportation's office. and we met with Congressman Issa, and we also met with our own Congressman, Dr. Raul Ruiz. And I have to say, it was a life-changing experience to go to Washington, D.C., not only to represent RCTC, but represent the Coachella Valley and represent the city of Indio for this rail project. And I like to ask the community and everyone here in our, I know our city is working on this, to go on rctc.org/CVR and show your support for this rail project that's going to come from Los Angeles through the Inland Empire all the way into Indio. And we went to advocate for more dollars. Now we're applying for more grants and we're in tier 2. And like I said, this has been an ongoing effort. There've been folks who sat in my seat, folks who've been different supervisors who have worked on this effort. Now the baton is in our hand in tier 2, and we still need to raise approximately 20 million. Tier 2 is going to cost us 60. We already have 40, so we're working on that. So it was just a great experience meeting with all of our electeds in Washington, D.C. And I like to ask the city and I like to ask the council, I don't know if this is something that we need a consensus or something we need to talk about in the future, but I just want to recommend that our council, if possible, takes a trip to Washington, D.C. to meet with our representatives. I think it's a great idea to show them how and why we need funding for affordable housing, how and why we need funding for infrastructure. I went for the CV Rail project, but I had a great conversation with Congressman Ruiz about our Monroe Bridge project and how we also need to sit in front of our Secretary Buttigieg about funding for that project. So it's not only about CV Rail. I took the opportunity to talk about some other things. So I just think it's important that we really work with our local, regional, state, and federal representatives on our projects so they know what we're doing, not just a memo when that project's in front of us. So that will conclude my long report. And so, but like I said earlier, I'm very excited about our city. We're doing some great things and we just got to keep the ball rolling. So we'll move on to the next item, which is city manager reports and information.
Just that we have our second Saturday free concert downtown this Saturday, October 8th at 7:00. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. And I still have Frida up here if you'd like to be excused. I'm sorry to be so long.
They were all wonderful reports. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll get back to you on the race. All righty. All right. So we have our second Saturday. City manager, if you could repeat that again, the date.
This Saturday, the 8th at 7:00 here downtown at Smurr and Miles.
Great. Second Saturdays. All right, we'll move on to consent calendar. And before I even ask for a motion, I just want to highlight one item we have on here. Let me get to it. I'm super sorry. Yes, item 913. It's a resolution approving the designation of August 26th as Hunter Lopez Day in the city of Indio, honoring the ultimate sacrifice Corporal Lopez made on August 26, 2021 in Kabul, Afghanistan, as a U.S. Marine corporal, where he was killed in action in service of his country. And I thank the city manager for bringing this. Is something that I asked for. And when I was in Washington, D.C., it became very real walking through some of the hallways, because I seen Hunter's picture all throughout some of the hallways. It didn't matter what representative, if it was California, if it was Florida, if it was Utah. I seen Hunter and his comrades that lost their life in Kabul, their photos up on the wall. And it really cemented the fact to me and really explained what our democracy is about. Being in Washington, D.C., seeing the Capitol, seeing the White House. And it was a great experience, but it became really emotional when I seen Hunter's picture up there. So I thank our city manager for working with me on this. And I don't think it wouldn't pass, but I thank our council because he's a local hero. He's a hero to us. And with that being said, I want to thank all of our veterans. who are present and our veterans who have passed for your service to our community, because without you, we wouldn't be here. We see what's going on around the world. And if your guard is down, evil walks in and it takes over. And our veterans are the ones who protect us. So thank you. If no one would like to pull anything or have any further comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, items number 9.1 through 9.16. And I do agree with you, Mr. Mayor. I think it was very appropriate. Hunter Lopez, Indio resident, families from here, and he gave the ultimate sacrifice. I think it's a tribute to our respect, not only for him, but our military and all those that serve.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Miller and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz. Could I have a vote, please?
Councilmember Holmes,
Sorry, aye.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos Amit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz,
Aye.
and Mayor Furman.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is item 10, administrative items. 10.1 is ordinance number 1784, adoption of the 2022 California Building Standards. And this item will be handled by our Director of Community Development, Mr. Kevin Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of City Council, again, Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. Every 3 years, we get to come before you and ask you to consider the adoption of new building codes for the city. And every 3 years, I get the opportunity to invite Luis Serras, our supervising plans examiner, up to speak to you. Luis has been with the city for over 17 years, and throughout those 17 years, he has been helping to ensure the life, health, and safety of residences, commercial buildings, and industrial buildings built in our city. So with that, I'd like to have Luis come up and give you a staff presentation and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Please forgive me for my nervousness. I'm not used to speaking publicly. I only get a chance to come up here every 3 years, so. Make that more often. So I'm here just to represent the city of Indio's building division, to basically ask for the adoption of these new codes. In reality, they didn't change very much from the last cycle, but nonetheless, the state requires us to adopt these codes. The state of California Health and Safety Code mandates that the California Building Standard Commission adopt and publish the California Building Standards Code, Title 24, every 3 years. And so I reviewed them carefully. I couldn't find much on any drastic changes. The only thing that did change is the energy code. As we all know, the state is trying to push everybody to be going to the electric use. And so that's what's happening now. Last cycle, the state required all new houses to have PV systems, photovoltaic systems. And so that's happened. Ever since then, every permit we issue has a PV system. And so now what they want to do, they want to have these homes also with these new energy storage systems, which are basically battery backups, very expensive systems. And they don't want to require them yet, but they are eventually going to. They want us to have them ready, these new houses to be ready for that system to be installed. And by doing that, they're gonna require a minimum of four branch circuit breakers and a minimum bus rating of 225 amps, which with the shortages of electrical power here in the city, it's gonna be fairly difficult to achieve that, just because right now, for example, there's a lot of shortages of electrical equipment and paneling. And so we're seeing a lot of the contractors just really having a hard time doing that. So with this requirement, it's for the future, I suspect maybe in the next cycle, they'll probably start mandating these systems. So we'll see how that goes, but it's going to be obviously more expensive for the initial buyer. In the long run, I'm sure it saves you some money with the bill, but it's still very expensive. I think I've issued a couple of these, and the valuation stated on those systems are over $40,000 for the batteries. Yeah, they're really pricey. So we'll see how many we have in the next few. The other thing that they're doing, they want new electric ready requirements for space heating, cooking, and clothes dryers when gas equipment is installed. So basically, they're trying to push everybody to be buying these, get away from the gas burning fuel. So that's another big one that we see coming down. Other than that, obviously there's other little items here and there, but not anything major on the actual building code, electrical code, or mechanical code. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Any questions?
I have a question on the battery storage, and it's, I guess, thinking of hydrogen power. If that comes into play a lot stronger, will it really make sense to have battery storage if we can have power through hydrogen tanks, right?
Yeah.
Just a thought. I don't know.
The thing about that though, that's a very flammable gas. And so I think the issue, and I'm sure fire department might have something to say on that, those kind of systems with that kind of, it depends on the size and how much you need, but I don't see that happening here yet, but you never know. I'm surprised every 3 years what they come up with. And so it's just amazing how when I got here, it was nothing like this, but it seems like every 3 years they really try to force, to want to push the developers in a certain way.
Okay. Yeah, that's just something I'm keeping an eye on, because I know with generators, some people are, the thoughts are there. It's not really that people are seeing applied, but people in some of the conferences that I go to or conventions that I go to, there's talks of hydrogen storage or hydrogen power in those situations. But also, I know there was a project from SoCal Gas in mixing hydrogen with natural gas and using that in the homes. So
interesting.
Yeah. So just some things to keep in mind for all of us here.
What I've issued recently have been backup generators powered by natural gas and propane, and I've seen that only in the Sun City Pulte Shadow Hill area.
Okay.
They've installed a few of those, which are really expensive too, but if ever an earthquake happens, they're going to be okay, because as long as the gas line isn't ruptured, right? So that's the advantage. But yeah, we've seen very few, but they're very expensive equipment too, $25,000 easy to install those backup systems.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I don't have any. Councilmember Holmes or Amit, do you have any questions or comments for staff?
I just think it's crazy myself. I mean, houses are unaffordable as it is, and they add $40,000 onto something that, that's going to do. And batteries are not very stable. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially when you're trying to force things. Blend of it's the one thing, but when you start forcing to put other stuff inside of a home and you're talking about affordable housing, that just doesn't add up. So, but it's a state law. So,
and just to clarify, this is just in preparation. They want us to they're not requiring it yet for this cycle, but I suspect for the next one will.
It's coming. Yeah. But when you add, it's like everything else. It's like when we add in certain things to do it, it just adds up to the price. I mean, they'll force you to go for it. If they cut off gas, then you're going to have to buy the battery setup. But I'm sure the fire department can tell you, batteries are not very stable, especially when they get hot and you put water on top of them. The two things you're not supposed to do is then you end up having to throw foam on them, which we're not prepared to do. And just, there's a lot of things that whenever a reaction to one thing, there's something else that happens. So I understand that they're trying to get away from fossil fuels, but at the same time, the cost is not there. It's the same thing with computers and everything else. Computers were thousands of dollars for this huge thing, and now it's, hundreds of dollars for something small. When we get there, it'll be a different story. But in the meantime, it's going to be a lot of pain for a lot of people, especially people wanting to buy their first homes and that, which are already tough enough to handle as it is, and adding on to stuff. So, but it's a state law. So I will make a motion to waive full reading of the ordinance adopted by reference, the 2022 edition of the California Building Standards, introduced the ordinance by title only, and request the city clerk to read the title.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilman Miller, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz. Got a vote, please.
Councilmember Holmes.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye, reluctantly.
Councilmember Ramos Amit.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz.
Aye.
And Mayor Furman.
And city manager, I might need to add Sacramento to that trip with DC. So. All right. So now I can have the city clerk read the title, please.
Ordinance number 1784, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Indio, California, adopting by reference to the 2022 editions of the California Administrative Historical Building, Existing Building, Energy, Mechanical, Plumbing, Electrical, International Property Maintenance, Residential and Green Building Standard Codes, together with certain appendices and amendments therefore, and amending Chapter 151 of the Indio Municipal Code. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
3 years.
3 years. Okay. All right. Our next item is item 10.2. It's ordinance 178, adopted by reference the 2022 edition of the California Fire Code with amendments and making findings that modifications to California Fire Code are responsibly necessary because of local conditions, and those be headed by our fire chief, Mr. Brian White.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff. My name is Brian White, Fire Chief for the City of Indio. Similar to the building code, the fire code is required by state law to be updated every 3 years. This is our third year for it. And so tonight, to give you a brief presentation and answer any questions you might have, is your Fire Marshal, Matthew Griffith.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. My name is Matthew Griffith. I'd like to start off by first thanking the city manager's office staff and the city clerk staff and the city attorney's office for all their help and guidance in bringing this ordinance together. We only have a little bit to adopt, nothing like the building department. As far as the fire code is concerned, there were not very many significant changes at all, other than just the code sections itself. So I really don't have much to report to you guys other than just some of the numbers changed in the actual code book.
All right. Thank you for your service. And if anyone needs any further information, it's in our packet. So with that being said, if no one has any questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to also recognize Dale Fraley, who was our fire marshal for I don't know how many years.
Or is he back there?
Retired.
Oh, he's back there hiding.
Dale,
Okay.
how are you?
All right.
So I'll make a motion that the city council, one, introduce the ordinance number 1785, waive full reading, making express findings that modification to the California Fire Code. 2, waive full reading the text and introduce the ordinance number 1785 by referencing the 2022 edition of the California Fire Code as amended, and request the city clerk to read the ordinance by title only.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second that.
Okay, well, we have a motion by Councilmember Miller, and I'll award the tie to Councilmember Holmes. And could I have a vote, please?
Councilmember Holmes,
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos Amit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ortiz,
Aye.
and Mayor Furman.
Aye. Motion passes. And can we read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 1785, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Indio, adopting by reference the 2022 California Fire Code, together with certain appendices and amendments and penalties, and amending Chapter 93 of the Indio Municipal Code.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All righty. Let me get our next item is public items that are not on the agenda. Do we have anyone online? Oh, online. Okay, I do have one present, and that's Mr. Rick Wise. Good evening, Mr. Wise. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So my name is Rick Wise, and I've lived in Indio for 4 years, I believe. And I moved here from Seattle, and I believe Chief Washburn, I believe you're from Seattle also. And I live at Four Seasons Terra-Lago, and I'm represented by Elaine Holmes. And Council Member Holmes has been on my YouTube show in Indio, and I invite any of the city council members to come join us on our show. In 3 years, the last 3 years, I've been coming to city councils on and off, and I'm really excited about the energy and how you guys work together and get stuff done. And I've noticed the improvement from 3 years to today. I do take exception to the vote last meeting, I believe it was, in changing the name of Avenue 51 to Hagen Way. Now, nothing against Mr. Hagen. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He probably deserves a highway named after him. But I just thought it was strange that somebody would ask to have a street named after himself. I really doubt that Dr. Carrion came to you guys and said, hey, I got a great idea. So I think it would be different if there was a citizen's petition that says, you know what, we think that Mr. Hagen should be recognized. Now it's just a street. And I really don't care about that. And the vote, I believe, was 3-1. Mayor Furman, I believe you were out of town. I don't know how you were going to vote, but it was 3-1. So it doesn't matter how you were going to vote anyway. But as citizens, we are now responsible for $600 to change the signage. Now, I would think that Mr. Hagen should step up and donate $600 or whatever the value is going to take to change those street signs. But more important than the money, the $600, or even that you change the name, is the transparency in the city council and the city government. I would hope that the 3 people that voted for this have never and will never take campaign contributions from Mr. Hagen, his family, or his business. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Wise. City Manager.
I just wanted to, for the record, Mr. Hagen did not request this road to be named after him. I just want to make sure that the record be clear. He never made that request. Okay. In fact, I think he's a little embarrassed by it.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. I do not have any further comments. Our next council meeting, joint meeting with IWA, is October 19th, 2022. I also just want to put a reminder out that we do have our second Saturday event this Saturday. Please come out and join us. It's great. The weather's getting great, and it's going to be another great event. And that's part of our enlivenment of the downtown area. And I also want to remind folks, please go into Riverside County Transportation Commission's website and show your support for this train project that we've been working on for years. This is monumental to our community. It's the connectability with the Inland Empire in Los Angeles is going to open up many, many opportunities, not only for us, but for generations to come. And just to give you a little background on that, we have approximately 170,000 vehicles that travel this corridor on a daily basis. And to take some of those vehicles off the road, it's just going to be such a benefit to our community, to our environment. And that's just one of the bullet points. I mean, there's a lot of benefits that this is going to open up for us, and the possibilities and opportunities with employment, education, and also our festivals, getting folks here to the Coachella Valley. And so please go on to Riverside County Transportation Commission and show your support for that. And Councilmember Miller, if you have,
Our farmers market.
Yes.
Starting back up on Sundays here in downtown, and also for those celebrating Yom Kippur, our thoughts for them also.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot going on in Indio, like you said, and it's been mentioned. We're excited. I'm super excited. And so we'll see you the next meeting, October 19th, 2022. And this meeting is adjourned.